you. Tis the season. James, we asked you on Monday. You said a follow-up today on Cam and Dom separately. Are you able to give us any updates there?
Yeah, I apologize. You'll get a bonus question because I'm not prepared or ready to answer that question right now.
Okay.
So you get another one.
I get another one. QB3, can you kind of talk us through the situation there? Because we've seen Jackson listed as out in availability but active during pregame warm-ups. I know you've done that in the past, but how close is he to being available, and what has Ethan Grunkemeyer accomplished in that role this year?
Yeah, so Jackson is able to do only what you have seen so far. Like, he's been cleared to throw pat and go in pregame. So that's just kind of where he's at. Grunk has done some really nice things. Obviously, he's been able to get a ton of reps. Kind of like what Jackson was able to get last year, and has done a really nice job with it. He throws the ball extremely well. He's mobile. He's really learning this stuff, and I think both Drew and Bo have done a great job kind of taking him under their wing and teaching him what it takes to be successful at this level. There was some conversations about getting him in the game, but there's also the aspect, we want to make sure Bo's getting as many reps as possible, just in terms of his availability as well. So, just these conversations are kind of ongoing, but we're very, very happy with Gronk, and we can't wait to get Jackson back.
James, did you pay much attention to the 94 team back in the day when you ran Stroudsburg, and knowing what's going on this weekend, what does it kind of mean to you in the program to be honored those guys?
Yeah, obviously being from the state and in the state at the time, I was aware, but I've gotten to know a lot of those guys really well. They're class acts. From my time with the Packers, whether it's been guys coming back up on campus, and some of these guys have been back more than others, so it'll create an opportunity to get to know some more of those guys. But talk about a special team, not only in terms of their record, but also the number of guys that got drafted in the first round, guys that got drafted in the sixth round and played 13 years in the NFL, guys that played 17 years in the NFL. I mean, it's an impressive group and list of collective team production as well as individual production at the college level as well as in the NFL. It's an impressive list, and those guys have been awesome. They've been pretty active, so it's great having them back, and they deserve obviously to be honored. And I look forward to getting to know maybe a few more of them that maybe haven't been back recently.
What will you tell your guys anything about that group, or will you try to have a presentation on, hey, this is what the 94 group meant, or will there be any of that?
We hadn't planned on doing it, but I think it's a good point. But if I do that, I'll probably do it on Sunday. Mm-hmm. I want them locked and loaded on Illinois. But I think that's probably a good point, Audrey. I'll jot that down in my notes. That may be something good to cover on Sunday, what that team was able to accomplish and what they did.
Coach, you talked a lot about Illinois' defense on Monday. Last year, they limited Drew a fair bit. How much value do you find in studying last year's tape on how they defended him in that game?
Yeah, I think there's some value in that. Obviously, they have new coaches. We have new coaches. You have different personnel, which in some ways allows you to do different things or more things. To play to the strengths of your current team and also to hide some of your deficiencies or areas that you're working on. So it's a piece, but I wouldn't say it's a significant piece, especially at this point. I think for them it's game 5, for us it's game 4. There's enough for us to look at based on this year rather than last year.
You mentioned guys that don't create a lot of stats on Monday. Speaking of some of those guys, how is Venga playing this year in your assessment of his performance so far?
Yeah, Venga has been, really kind of the model since he showed up on campus. He is big, he is strong, he is physical, he is football smart, he is classroom smart, was raised extremely well, very coachable, as a guy that's able to play both guard positions and center. It's unusual to have a guy that you think can play center at 350 pounds. He carries 350 pounds better than I've ever seen anybody carry 350 pounds. And I think he's got, is having a really good year, and I think he's got a really bright future. So we're big fans of his. He's playing really well. Obviously, you guys may not get the stats, but we grade all the tape. So for us, we have a ton of stuff to talk about with him, with how he's playing, with areas that he needs to get better. So the stats that we look at, he's got a ton of that, information for us to use in terms of his development.
James, with this being your third time facing Bret Bielema with Illinois, is there any thing that you come to expect playing against Illinois now?
No, I just think you got a really good idea of kind of who he is, how he operates, the type of teams he's going to have, and really that's been his time at Wisconsin, that's been his time at Arkansas, that's been now his time at Illinois. You look at the coaches that he's worked for, his tree, and then we also have Rob Smith, who's on our staff, who was with him at Arkansas. So we got a really good understanding of who Bret is, all the way back to his playing days and who he played for. Very similar tree in terms of how they want to manage the game, how they want to play at the line of scrimmage, how they want to run the ball, how they want to dominate the clock, turnovers. Essentially he's going to play a style where they're not going to beat themselves. The first thing you have to do as a coach is teach your team how to not lose games before they can learn how to win games. And Bret and that tree that he comes from, I think they do a really good job of that. And then obviously once you got that figured out, then now the next step is finding out how to win games. And you look at them, he's done a really good job of winning those close games, those one possession games. And then obviously they're coming in here with a ton of confidence after going on the road to Nebraska, similar place, similar environment in a lot of ways. Team that was, getting a lot of national attention, Nebraska, and Illinois goes in there and finds a way to get a win. So they're going to come in here confident, not only as a team, but also how to handle the environment.
Just on that notion of confidence, with the team last year for returning defenders, knowing that they forced 4 interceptions, 5 takeaways, is that instilled any confidence in the team going into this game, knowing what they did last year, especially on the defensive side?
No, like I had mentioned earlier, we're at a point of the season last year really doesn't factor in.
James, if Dom were not available on Saturday, among that linebacker group, you got a longer look. We did too last Saturday. Do you feel like anyone's particularly prepared to step up if he were not available?
Yeah, those guys are coming on. Dakari continues to get better. We'll plan on using Specca this week. If we're in that situation, he would get green lighted for this game, not necessarily for the season at this point, but he was the guy that was able to play a little bit last week, and we're preparing him this week to be ready to go as well. Tamir is continuing to do some really good things. So yeah, we think we're in a better position, but obviously we'd love to have all of our guys out ready to go and healthy and having a chance to be productive.
James, in the staff directory, you guys are up to 15 analysts now. Beyond the rule change that has allowed them to coach on the field this year, what has it meant to be able to build up that staff behind the scenes, and what does that do for you during the week?
Yeah, I think it's important. Obviously, it's very similar to what most people across the country have done. What I think the new addition that you guys are talking about, that you guys are aware of, sometimes those things maybe are not part of the plan, but somebody becomes available, and you spend a ton of time kind of talking to them and doing research and make sure it's a good fit for both parties. And if it is, then we got a chance to bring somebody that's going to bring value, even if it's for 1 more touchdown or 2 more first downs, it's worth it. Or stopping 1 more touchdown or stopping 2 first downs. So, a lot of reason for that. But the value obviously is some of the stuff that you're able to do in terms of working ahead. That increases our ability to get a ton of work done on Sunday and Monday and be more efficient and be more valuable on those 2 days. So that's one of the big reasons. And then I also think there's the value of bringing somebody from the outside in that's got a fresh set of eyes. Sometimes you're too close to it, so having somebody to come in from the outside and they can see something and identify an area that you need to get cleaned up, there's value in that too.
James, to follow up on Specca, Saturday in the extended look, he ended up leading you guys in tackles. What did you see from him then? And then since he got here, what's he done to be in that position where you're comfortable letting him go if needed this weekend?
Yeah, he's just a smart guy, very, very smart guy, very productive guy. Played at a great high school in terms of Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Those guys have come in here prepared and ready to play. I think the academics at that school helps prepare them, even from a football perspective, the type of program they run. So he's just come in here and been a very, very mature, very about his business guy. He's got really good athleticism, tested really well when he showed up on campus. Him and Peter, we were really, really excited about, and continue to be. And then we can't get enough Pittsburgh Central Catholic guys. Looking right into the camera. We can't get enough Pittsburgh Central Catholic guys. So, that's a school that we're going to continue to go back to year in and year out. And it's important for us to keep the best players in Pennsylvania home, especially from the best programs.
James, you talked about.
Thanks for that question. I appreciate it.
James, you talked about some of the struggles with helmet communication on defense after Bowling Green. Considering how loud it should be this weekend, how comfortable are you on that facet?
Yeah, that's why yesterday and today we had the defense in here with the crowd noise going, and obviously we have cleaned some things up. As well, and just kind of how we're operating and how dependent we are on the headset communication and how much we're not, using the headset communication, kind of working through some of the kinks. But I thought last week, was excellent. But there's still the fact that you're dealing with the noise on defense. Not only is it challenging for their offense, and also if you're not prepared for it, it creates some issues for you too.
Thank you, Coach.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.